Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Long and Thick podcast, where we help you navigate the noise and cut through the bullshit in the health and wellness space. Today, we are joined by a special guest, Jared Johnson of Subliminal Coffee. He is a friend to both Daniel and I, and also the owner of Subliminal Coffee. Today, we'll be talking about coffee, some of the physicality that is involved in maneuvering through the jungle gym of life, as Daniel showcases for us. And all of the things that baristas, business owners need to keep in mind when dealing with navigating a business. This fucking guy grinding away. Sign him up to Grinder.
It's the coffee episode.
It's true. I'll give him that. In fairness, these beans are probably pretty fabulous. Shout out to ourselves, because we have a new website. We have a Patreon. We have a Substack. So if you'd be so kind as to check out the website at ltpodcast.com and give us some feedback on that, we would love that. This episode is also sponsored by PTU. Jason Colley is the owner and creator of Personal Trainer University. PTU provides a structural lens through which trainers, coaches, and movement professionals can understand movement, biomechanics, assessment, and programming, see movement differently, coach with intent, help more clients. There is a 15% off with Long Thick 15. Thanks for tuning in. We are here with the one and truest Jared Johnson, a.k.a. JJ, of Subliminal Coffee.
That's me.
There he is.
That's the guy.
Man.
JJ, can you shed some light on how you are much more than just Subliminal and coffee, and take us through some of your origin stories? Where are you from? How'd you end up here? And yeah, we'll sort of dive into different pieces of that as you go through that.
Yeah. I am from just west of the great city, St. Louis, Missouri. Grew up there, lived there 18 years, and then college got me to Nashville. So came here to study entrepreneurship at Belmont University.
Interesting.
Pandemic hit spring break in my freshman year.
Uh-huh.
And I've just kind of been, I don't know, figured out what college was remotely, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Met my partner Delaney, who's a musician, so that keeps her in Nashville, and
Yeah.
I've been here now for 7 years. So,
Whoa. Okay, that's right. I always forget that you are younger
Mm-hmm.
by quite a bit. Then.
yeah.
He hits way above his pay grade, like his weight class in terms of
100%.
maturity.
Because I
For
was
sure.
like, wait a second. What fucking year did you just say that you went to Belmont? Hold on. 1, 2, 3. Doing math. I'm like, hold on. And I'm surprised you didn't say music. But is there some musicality in your blood, in your brain?
Yeah, I really got into guitar when I was like 13.
Okay.
So picked up electric guitar. My first business before coffee was I used to build and sell guitar pedals, and so
Oh shit. Okay.
yeah, YouTube really popped off when I was a kid, and people started uploading like how to build pedals and schematics online, and I was able to figure it out as a 15-year-old in a basement with a soldering iron, and so started building guitar pedals and sending them out to bands that I liked, and I wanted to do the entrepreneurship thing with that. And so I kind of ran that company through my entrepreneurship program at school, and then pivoted to coffee after I graduated.
What's the pedal company?
It started as Power Pedals, and then we rebranded as Interchange Noise Works.
Cool.
Yeah, it was not super big, but
Sure.
we had some pedals on the JHS show, which means something to some guitarists.
That's huge.
And
Yeah, Josh shouting you out in any sort of capacity is a very big deal.
that was really cool. And then we've had a few bands that like I grew up listening to that that still use the pedals, which is sweet. So
that's got to feel like surreal a little bit, no?
it's weird making the things that make the sounds that musicians use to.
Right.
So
where did you align yourself in terms of what sonic palette you were trying to capture for yourself and artists?
I have 2 older brothers. They grew up all through the 90s, and so a lot of like Smashing Pumpkins, Nirvana, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Cool.
And so then I grew up listening to what my older brothers thought were cool. So at the time, it was a lot of grunge music, and so I was trying to make DS1 sounding pedals.
Sure.
I was trying to make super loud fuzz pedals, kind of fun shoegazy and rock and grunge style things. So
did you ever fuck up a design and then it ended up being closer to what you wanted from the sound? You know what I mean? Like you were more stoked about the outcome, even though maybe something mechanically or voltage wise or whatever. I haven't built pedals, so I'm sort of just saying words that sound
they
like
kind of work though.
Yeah, I mean,
no, there's one like side of pedals and electronics called circuit bending where you're taking stuff apart and intentionally creating shorts and circuits to make different sounds.
Okay.
As far as like practical application as a guitar pedal, not so much, but people will like turn them into their own sound machines because they'll make like weird frequencies. And then when you turn knobs and stuff, it'll change that frequency.
Okay.
And so that was like kind of a hobby on the side of that me and some friends would do. Probably my favorite pedal we put out, and I'm going to try not to get too geeky, but
no, let it rip.
You can, in overdrives and distortions, you clip, and that's how you create this distortion sound. And so you're like squaring off your sound waves.
Okay.
And you use diodes to make that clipping happen.
Okay.
And different diodes have different forward voltage, and different forward voltages cause different clippings, and so different sounds. LEDs are diodes, and so like I think it's the DS1 has like 2 red LEDs in it that they use as the clipping components. And we had some pedals that use multicolored LEDs. And so me and another guy I used to design pedals with started playing with the idea of how do we run the clipping circuit through a multicolored LED to have like a completely alternating forward voltage.
Cool. Yeah.
And so that was an approach to clipping that had never been done before. At its heart was a distortion pedal as far as like topology, how everything's arranged.
Sure.
But it sounded like a fuzz because if you hold it as your signal input decreases, it kind of goes through different phases of distortion. So you get natural like noise gates coming.
That's fucking cool.
So that is cool.
That was a fun one.
But that's really awesome. Can you take us through some of the transition that it felt like for you from St. Louis to Nashville? You said it was for college.
Yeah.
But you had a budding business, right? And so, and then you ended up taking it to the school. But what was that process like? And then where, if not prior to that, did any kind of love or exposure to coffee fit in?
For sure. I fell in love with coffee in St. Louis. Very much grew up a Starbucks kid. Like Frappuccinos were my first introduction to coffee because they were milkshakes and like
they're fucking delicious. Yeah,
exactly. There was a smaller shop at the time in the town that I grew up in called Upshot. Now it used to be called VB's Chocolate Bar, and they were a multi-roaster, which means they bring in roasters from all around the country and kind of rotate them. And across the street from that was a pizza shop that I worked at in high school. And so me and my still best friend worked at that pizza shop together. He was really into coffee. And so when
before you were?
Before I was.
Okay.
And so when things would get slow at the pizza shop, one of us would run over to the coffee shop and buy a bag off the shelf, and then we'd brew on a Chemex in the back.
Oh, cool.
And that's kind of what got me into like black coffee, pour overs, things like that.
Yeah.
And then, that obsession just kind of like grew into brewing at home a lot.
Yeah.
The owner of the pizza shop had a coffee roaster in his garage. And so we would go over and roast coffee with him sometimes. And then Nashville has by volume a lot more coffee shops than St. Louis did. And so that was when I first moved here, how I explored the city. is I would like punch a coffee shop into my maps, drive there, and then I'd have to figure out how to get back to campus without maps. And that was
smart.
like how I learned my way around Nashville.
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
yeah, that was kind of where the love of coffee began.
Yeah.
I moved into my dorm room with like a full bag of pedal building gear and a full bag of like pour over setups.
Sure.
And yeah, there was a lot of time doing both, like building these pedals and brewing coffee.
Yeah.
In my dorm room at Belmont.
So. Yeah. Hell
was it at that point, how emerging was the idea that you could potentially turn a passion into a business through coffee?
It wasn't really a focus at that point in time.
Just pure nerddom?
Just pure nerding out with it.
Mm.
I think I was really committed to the idea. I wanted the pedal thing to work. I moved to Music City and I was like this is going to be it.
Yeah.
And it was fun because I'd like get out of my business classes and I'd walk over to the music college and find the guitarist and be like, you guys want to play this? And sell pedals.
And they're always like, oh, shoot, what is that, dude?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, actually, you know what an LED is? They're like, fuck.
This thing's loud as fuck. It's crazy, you know? So that was fun. There, pre-pandemic, it was really hard to get a job in specialty coffee if you didn't have any coffee experience.
Sure.
And so there's also kind of like that barrier to entry. I think I always had the dream of like, I'm going to work in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And then I applied a lot. I was trying to, work part-time too, to kind of help pay through college, and could not get a call back on anything from any shops in town. And there was a big like transition switch after the pandemic as far as like that kind of went out the window with a lot of shops. So it was actually when the pandemic hit, I went back home to St. Louis for about 9 months while the world was figuring its shit out, and ended up working at Upshot, that coffee shop that was across from the pizzeria.
Cool.
So that ended up being like my first proper
Exposure
behind the bar coffee gig.
Okay.
Which is also, so they did, what was it, or Heat Wave?
Heat Waves.
Yeah. Well, it's just a very interesting, like, full circle moment for him, not to like spoil anything, but I've since gone to his establishment and been able to get Upshot coffee because he hosts different roasters, and that's like a full circle moment for him. Yeah. But also too, it's crazy hearing that origin story. And then, a year ago, one of the coolest coffees I've ever had was a Upshot roast. So
was it still, so it was under a different name before that?
It transitioned, I think, going into 2019. So still same ownership.
Same ownership. Okay. Yep. So that person you had rapport with, they were sort of teaching you stuff way back when, doing the roasting and things like in their, right at their home, or?
That was separate from that coffee shop.
Okay.
But that we were definitely visiting that coffee shop a lot.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
cool. I'm just making sure I got the arc straight. So were you going to say something?
Yeah. So in the OG, you're just getting your feet in the door in Nashville, learning the lay of the land. At that particular time in the era, what was the go-to Nashville coffee shop that you wanted to be a part of? Like, what was the top of that hill at the time?
Yeah.
Is this 2020 then? Or like
2019?
19? Yeah. Okay.
I found myself going to Steadfast in Germantown a lot.
I didn't realize that they were that old.
Yeah, they've been around a minute, and they're up to some really cool shit in 2019. And then Barista Parlor was still big at that point in time too. And so Barista Parlor was kind of the one shop that carried outside of Nashville, where like we all knew about it in St. Louis, and a lot of other places know about it everywhere else. It had a lot of notoriety, especially in the specialty coffee world. And so coming here and being like, oh my God, this is the thing.
It, yeah.
So yeah.
Cool.
I think they were my first proper specialty coffee experience as well when I moved here. And my only experience prior to that was good was Europe, which I was like really late to coffee. And then trying to find good coffee in South Florida. There was literally one cart in the back of a glass museum.
Incredible.
That was like the best cappuccino I've had in the southeast part of the country, probably still to date. And I was like, oh my God, I've been looking everywhere for this. Like, it's not even, there's nothing close to it. And she's like, oh, we're going to open a coffee shop soon down the road. They opened that. Terrible. I was like, okay. When that, she wasn't,
the wagon.
Yeah, she wasn't involved. But coming here, I was like, oh man, like they take this so seriously. Like, I ordered a coffee and like, it'll be out in like 11 minutes. I was like, what does that mean? And it was good. It changed my perception of what coffee could be on a pour over black coffee front.
For sure.
So, all right, continue.
So yeah, I'll pull you back into the slingshot of you are now at this place, having been there for 9 months, right? And then where does this take us in the next phases?
Yeah. With the pandemic happening, we literally left for spring break. And I remember I had one professor that was like, there's this like virus going on overseas and it might be getting out of hand. Take your textbooks home in case like you need them.
Good foresight on his part.
We all laughed in that class. And we didn't take the textbooks home. And I remember I had friends in Kansas City. And so we were staying with them at the University of Kansas City. And I was like 2 days into spring break. And they got an email that they were getting kicked off campus because COVID had just hit the States and they were shutting down.
Yeah.
And then later that afternoon, we got a phone call from Belmont, and same thing.
What a crazy
we
time.
we had to schedule a time to come pick up whatever we needed from our dorm rooms.
Yeah.
And then like I was supposed to move back that August and things were going to start. And then they announced like classes were still going to be fully online. I was like, I'm not going to pay to live on campus and not actually live on campus.
Sure.
So ended up staying an extra semester in St. Louis, did my classes online from Missouri. And just worked full time at the coffee shop, which ended up being a really sweet time. So
was the seed planted from the exposure there to start to separate away from the pedal board or from the pedals and then start to plant the seed of coffee, or?
Not really, because that time also saw like a weird uptick in pedal sales and like boutique instruments, because you have all these musicians that are constantly touring. They're now off the road.
Sure.
They're sitting with their home setups and they're like, oh, this could use some revamping.
Now what? Yeah.
And so 2021, especially because you also have like stimulus checks coming in and things like that. So people have some money to play with. And so 2020 like was a lot of time online marketing. It was a lot of time. I think we put out 3 pedals that year.
As like staples in your lineup.
Yeah. So it gave me time to like sit down and tinker with things. And then when I like moved back, I didn't have a coffee job lined up right away. So my friend Austin owned a company called Runway Audio, which is a dope instrument cable company. And they had a really neat shop set up in Marathon Village. And so I like interned for him and then would build my pedals out of that office.
Very cool.
And that was kind of 2021, 2022 is when we saw big upticks in like people buying a bunch of instrument cables, people buying a bunch of guitar pedals. Just because, like people weren't picking up tours again yet. And so.
Yeah, I didn't realize that there was a music anything in Marathon Village at one point. That's cool.
Yeah, so we were upstairs, and then like Orange, I think their artist relations office was downstairs. And so there's this sweet dude named Pat. He'd like come up with, I think Orange owns Harmony guitars too. So he'd like come up with like new Harmony models and like,
damn,
like, take this for a week. Like, and we're like, sick. And
why are those people always that way? They're just like, here, you want this like $20,000 thing? Cool. Have fun. Yeah. Don't break it.
Don't break it.
I know you won't, but don't.
That's awesome.
So,
okay. And so then where is the transition point into, did you start to work somewhere within Nashville within coffee and then segue? What's the?
Yeah, I ended up working at Barista Parlor. So I started at their former Germantown location. And really kind of got a lot of bad training and cut my teeth there, which was great. It was a super high volume shop. Learned a lot of like how to manage bar flow and work with other people on bar, and eventually became like quality assurance manager for that location. So
cool.
We'd receive coffees from the roastery, and then I'd be in charge of like dialing them and getting them up to spec for customers, and then training staff on how to execute that.
Damn.
Which was a really cool role. And then moved from there to open their Sylvan Supply location, and then close their Golden Sound location.
Wait,
and then
holy shit! That's I'm like right around the bend from there in the shipping container thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
So, and then I ended my run there at East, which was their like original location, and that was a really cool location to work at. But,
Can I ask how you feel about them? You can deter the question, but I'm just curious if there's given how much development and then also like notoriety, positively so, back in the day, and then all that stuff. Yeah, like where's
a lot has changed, and a lot hasn't too, but I think there's wisdom in everything, and I've learned a lot of valuable lessons and how to like conduct myself on a bar and how to dial in coffee. I had great training. I had great coworkers and managers. And I've also learned a lot of ways of how not to manage people and how not to run a business. And I'm equally grateful for those things. And so, I think people can go and have their own experience and draw their own conclusions. But I know a lot of people that have been burned by them too. And so that's a frustrating thing, especially in an industry that's very, very close knit and very small world. So
Yeah. I mean, just on the positives, touting them for one, their branding is awesome.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And I've been in several of their spaces, always very inviting. It's never stuffy or feels like kitschy or anything like that. So, I mean, they had a good model in a product. It's just, unfortunately, I don't think it was able to be maintained and scaled the way they tried. But yeah, I've had several solid experiences there, and it was interesting for me to meet you and learn more of your story prior to this, and really know that like you cut your teeth there, and you've even shown me incredibly exclusive coffees that they were able to procure that were mind-blowing just on the nose alone. So they definitely had something going on.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's a lot of really valuable experience, like you said. I think your takeaway summary is like pretty spot on, and also just shows again your age above your actual number, which I think work can do to you, life shit does to you, hard stuff does to you, for hopefully the better. I would say you're making the most of it. So what is the ending of that season bringing you into the actual birth of the cart? Where are we at?
I was going into my final year of college. I love bootstrapping a business, right? You can go and get funding, you can get an investor, or you can just kind of like sweat equity the shit out of something. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just kind of like however you want to. The guitar pedals, I started with like $500 in my parents' basement and like bootstrapped it to a place where we had developed like 6 pedals and worked with bands and musicians I wanted to. But I realized I was going to have to take on a lot of debt and a lot of investment to get it where it was sustainable. It was paying for itself. It wasn't paying me. And just to do something that's product manufacturing and R&D, it takes a lot more heavy lifting. And so, I was able to catch the wave of like coffee carts before it became really popular and Instagrammable. But there were some carts starting to pop up over here in Nashville. I'll shout out Wheat Coffee over in East. So one of my favorite spots in town. They launched out of Nelson's Drum Shop in 2020, I think.
That was the Gallatin location originally.
That was the Gallatin location.
Yeah, and I can still remember my first cup there. And I was like, dang. And I didn't know what a coffee cart was. And as a a fledgling coffee consumer is like, well, what can they really pull off with a setup like this?
You
don't really
little bird, I'll show you under my wing.
And like looking at the menu and like the ingredients behind some of like the specialty drinks, I was like, wait, he's throwing that down in a space that's this big.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
and so I became a regular of theirs and an evangelist of We Coffee, and like love what Nate and Steph and Michelle are doing over there. I mean, it's incredible work. And so I think seeing someone like accomplish something from a small scale, there's like the fun mindset of being an entrepreneur is like, cool, how do we problem solve? How do we like creatively attack this problem? And so trying to bootstrap something, realizing like if I take out a monthly rent or the overhead of a shop or like having to do all this, like I can start with very little. And so it being my senior year, we had a pitch for like our entrepreneurship degree, like our business plan, right? And instead of going pedals, I leaned into this coffee cart idea. And at the time was more like events focused because you can charge a lot more money for events, and it made my numbers look great for my entrepreneurship presentations. But I realized very quickly into launching that, like, and doing some events that it's a grueling side of the industry and there's money to be made, but was not necessarily the thing I wanted to do personally. I wanted to do what I enjoyed in all these other coffee shops, which is be a staple of community, right? And so I started working on that, and about 6 months before I resigned from Barista Parlor, I started kind of building out a coffee cart in my dining room, and graduated somewhere in that time frame. Started doing the carts on weekends, and then kind of when things took a turn for the worst at BP, I left and leaned full time into doing my own thing. And so we started at the end of my driveway in East Nashville and just pitched to the neighborhood and cars that were driving by, or we'd get like UPS drivers pulling over and be like, can I seriously like order coffee from me right now? And so that was like a really cool, scrappy, fun way to begin.
The lemonade stand, but for caffeine.
Literally.
How close within proximity of your final presentation did you know it was going to be a coffee presentation over pedal building? Was it kind of like a quick little final hour pivot, or did you kind of have advanced intuition, like, actually I should probably focus elsewhere and really finish strong with better feeling, looking numbers, better prosperous future?
I think it was like the summer before going into senior year. So I was working full time in coffee that summer. Realized this is something I wanted to do more full time, and was getting a lot more life and passion out of that than I was sitting behind a desk building pedals. And so started looking at like, cool, how do I make this work without funding? And one of my buddies is a tech here in town and gets espresso machines across his desk, and we had called him in for a repair while I was working at BP. I had just mentioned, I was like, hey, can you keep an eye out on machines on a Linea Mini from La Marzocco for me? He's like, actually, I have one right now that got like scratched in shipping, and he's like, it's discounted, and it was a really good discount for it being a scratch. And so I remember I had the cash on hand to like buy it right then and there. And I was like, this is what's going to make sure that I do this. I'm committed now. And so I acquired it before starting senior year. I had acquired it about 6 months before I even began trying to build out the cart. And it just kind of lived on my countertop. And me and my roommates at the time had some great cappuccinos at home for a long time. So
that's sick.
There's no need to divulge numbers, but I will just say that you have had some incredibly favorable luck in a lot of those kinds of things.
For sure.
You've quoted me things. I'm just like, man, you're gifted, my friend, bestowed.
That's great.
Talking about the grueling nature of event work, obviously a lot of this is someone just trying to procure talents. Do you feel like you can even approach anything community driven in an event space like that, or do you just feel like furniture?
A lot of time it's furniture. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I've, in 2024, that was my first like full year of doing the cart. We launched April of 2023. And in 2024 by myself, I did 179 events. So that's like every other day. Oh my
God.
And some were just like community pop-ups, whether it be in my driveway or like Daniel and I met at Gym 5. And so Adam, the owner, who I know you guys interviewed a couple weeks ago, was gracious enough to let me pop up in the lobby whenever I wanted for free, which was huge.
Wow.
And so, but yeah, did 179 of those. A lot were private events, and there's a big difference between, again, like being in a gym lobby and interacting with people in and out of the gym and like hearing their story, being in their morning coffee, or setting up in a marketing firm's office and then being like, all right, you guys have an hour to get coffee, and cranking out vanilla lattes for an hour straight. I did one so that I could fund doing the things that I wanted to do, which was actually getting to sit and make regulars in a gym lobby, or make friends in a gym lobby, and slowly build out Subliminal as a brand in Nashville instead of a service, which,
So take us to the what eventually became Brick and Mortared, right? From the gangster wagon. Was the name always like the same off the rip? You were Subliminal from the get-go?
Subliminal from the get-go.
Cool.
If I may interject, Subliminal, where do we get that and like your branding? You have a very unique logo or logo set. Before we get to Brick and Mortar, getting your own space, what was the impetus for what you looked for visually in terms of aesthetic? Sorry to interject.
Oh no, it's a great question.
Please interject away.
Cheers.
The name just kind of came to me one day. It sounded right. And the more you get into like what subliminal means, right? It's things that are like deeper than surface level. Part of it is we've from the beginning have had pour overs, have represented brands from across the country and represented countries from across the world. And a big part of what we do still is try to emphasize that coffee passes through so many hands before it ends up in your cup, right? And so there's a lot more to a black cup of coffee or a vanilla latte than what people assume as like, this is a commodity I can go to a drive-through for. So that was very important. The other thing too is marketing and advertising annoys the shit out of me. When I first went to school, I was a double major with entrepreneurship and marketing, and I dropped my double major like a semester in, just starting to get marketing classes and be like, I hate the psychology of this. Especially when you're trying to build a place that is community focused and a place that like people can come and feel like they're being themselves. There's a weird antithesis of like, I just like email blasted you to come here and now you're here and now this is a genuine interaction. Like, and there's obviously marketing that has to be done for businesses to survive and things like that. But from the beginning, we've tried to keep our branding as minimal as possible. To this day, I've never paid to run an ad. We've paid for a sandwich board sign that like sets out when we're open. And we've paid for the decal that's mounted on front of our cart and like the stamps on our cups. That's it. Everything has been word of mouth, which is really fun. And so, and even now, which I know we're going to get to, but our residency or our permanent location is in a back alley. And I still get angry people calling that are like, I don't know how to find you. And it's like, walk around the building. Like
a little harder.
So, which is kind of funny in a way because they're impatient, they're irate because you have a very quality product. Your name is impeccable in the space as well as around town. So you have this innate draw, but then if it's not available within an instant, then someone's like, well, I want the cool thing that you serve, but why is it not immediately obvious for me? Like, what are you doing wrong?
And that's the thing is, it's like, if we're already there, we're missing the point. And so that's kind of the beauty of the nature of how we're positioned too, is like, for the people who give up on that journey, they were not going to be core customer
Sure.
to begin with.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, one of the most important branding things that I've learned is you can't be all things to all people, right? And we have a lot of larger corporations that preach that that's the message and that you can, and that's great. And they have a wider scope on the market, but figure out the things like you do well, and you're going to have people who really appreciate it, and you're going to have people who don't. And there are other shops who do other things well that those people can go to. And there's enough coffee to go around at the end of the day. There's enough things to do at the end of the day. Like it all works out. But
how much did you take from school, would you say? Because you've been working for a while.
Yeah.
Right. And so compare the formal education side to sort of synthesizing both your real life lived experience and having these moments where you're like, fuck me, 179 times. And, I'm sick of being furniture. Let's change it up. That type of education, right? Very different than in the books, but I don't want to shit on the formal education. So I'm curious for you, how would you value that?
I think it's valuable. There are, and any business owner will tell you this, there are things that you will never know until you start the business and do the thing, and the thing goes wrong and you have to figure out how to fix it. And so I think there's a lot more like street education and running a business than there is textbook.
Sure.
The cool thing about Belmont's program is none of the professors, at least at the time, I don't know if this is still their thing, but none of the professors who were teaching entrepreneurship were strictly employees of the school. They all currently ran their businesses or were on boards of businesses that they had started. And so almost every entrepreneurship professor I had is like, hey, we're going to teach you the fundamentals, but also every business is different, and you're be ready to roll with the punches. And so I think school did a better job of setting an expectation of that than it did necessarily training me. I will say some more of the finance specific courses are very helpful as far as just literacy with I'm being small, starting on our own. I'm still our CPA, which is terrifying half the time, but it is nice to know oh, this is what a profit and loss statement should look like. And I didn't know that prior to my Belmont education. So credit where credit's due, the fundamental things that apply to all businesses. Great. Setting a proper expectation, I think they did a decent job of. For the limited time I had in person there, the networking opportunities were awesome. Again, I think I got robbed of a lot of that because of the pandemic, but we were all in the same boat. So it's just kind of
it is refreshing to hear too, though, because obviously there's this adage of those who can't do teach, and which is not always the fairest thing to say, but it is a nice confirmation, though, that all these people are equally busy running businesses or being on boards of business, which is no small task or feat. So being able to balance that and also impart that and also manage expectations properly rather than equipping you with this perfect ideal of how to structure a business, which is the best, which is the best laid plan until the enemy shoots back kind of thing. Then what are you left with? So it's good. I'm happy to hear that your education served you that well, because it's not always the case.
Yeah,
for sure.
Especially with business, I feel like a lot of folks are like, fuck this, I could have my fucking grandpa taught me, if it just, you don't do it here, then you do it there. And you're just like, what? What's the lesson? He's like, you'll understand when you do, kid. It's like, great. You know what I'm saying? It's like that is the heart and soul of business in just a nutshell. And obviously it's so much more than that. So again, to, echo that, I'm glad that you're not like, fuck me, I just spent a lot of money and I was just going to do this anyway. I could have just started there. But can you take us to the whereabouts of how to find you right now? That struggling person. And the transition from the cart, because we had jumped from there into breaking down the name, which I'm glad you did.
For 20 minutes. I'm so sorry.
No, it's a good.
Fine.
It's a good.
Do you see yourself in New York anytime soon?
Where we exist right now is in the lobby of a company run by mutual friends of ours called Lolu. And so Lolu is a sauna cold plunge studio in East Nashville. Their whole thing is very community driven, very community focused. They started as a pop-up around at the same summer that we started as a pop-up. And it began
I didn't realize that either.
It began in our friend's backyard. And
oh shit.
Since
so that was Evan and Chirag doing that.
It was Evan and our friend Charles, who is no longer a part of the Lolu operations. But yeah, so it would be hosted in Charles's backyard, and it was called Ice Camp, and they had Rubbermaid tubs that they'd fill with ice and water. And it started with like 6 people, and by week like 6, it was like over 100, and they're like, shit, we can't keep doing this in the backyard.
Dang.
100. I'd be like, go home.
Yeah.
I hate this. I'm scared.
Yeah, so they're just like adding more and more Rubbermaid tubs like to the lineup each week. And yeah, they started like buying jugs of cold brew from us to like have coffee for people at that event.
Cool.
Very early on.
Oh, that's cool.
They got investment, opened up the space, and then they reached out and were like, hey, would you ever want to like pop up at events that we host at the space? And I was like, you want something in the lobby of it? We're looking for like a permanent residency. And I think the more we talked about it, the more that kind of made sense. And so we've been there about 1.5 years, and that's been a really good, just a really good situation as far as like crossover between businesses.
Yeah.
Having people who mutually respect the idea of like being a community forward business.
Yeah.
And then again, location has been really convenient to our branding, and really just, it's been a lot of fun being a back alley coffee shop.
Yeah. Sure.
Which is like something we see exist a lot in like New York culture or like Japan and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think we lack here in Nashville, but I'd like to see it start to blossom a little bit more. So
yeah, that your location's very unique. It's really not that hidden.
No.
You just have to make one little turn in between, an alley, and then you're right there. So
it's also like all over our website and all over Google and all over Apple Maps and all over the signage that like people.
Yeah, if you're looking
just have to try a little bit to find it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean,
so
it's worth it.
You've been doing that for 1.5 years. What does that look like? Is that ultimately what you want? Are you looking for, do you want to be a multi-location business? There's also some other pursuits that you're doing to support the retail side of your business. If you want to shed some light on that.
For sure. The thing with like bootstrapping is everything comes in phases, right? You don't have the money at the beginning to just like dive in and do it all. And so the first part was like building a cart, and we checked that off. And then the second was, let's get a lot of events, and we checked that off and realized let's never fucking do events again. Right. And so, phase 3 was, let's find a residency somewhere that we can park the cart, where I don't have to take 500 pounds of equipment in and out 180 times a year, and kind of build a team who knows how to operate this location. And then the eventual goal is like brick and mortar and roasting. And so, and it was kind of up in the air, like how stuff was going to fall into place with that. And so my buddy Colin, who we've kind of grown up in the same circles here in Nashville for a long time. He worked in the production room at Barista Parlor while I was working on cafe floors. Him and I had talked for years about like roasting together. And so about this time last year, he reached out and was like, hey, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start my roasting project. And so he started a company called Common Time Coffee, and bought like a little 2-pound coffee roaster called an Aleo Bullet, which is fucking awesome. And I was like, sick. Like, can I like roast with you? Can I learn how to do this? I have like QC skills. I know how to like cup, and here I have been a multi-roaster for a long time, so I know what lots to look for on some of these. And so Colin and I spent like a year roasting coffee together, and he kind of taught me everything he knew from working in a few years of coffee production.
Yeah.
And then we, cup and like QC stuff together, and I'd be like, all right, like if I was sourcing for the shop or for espresso, like I would change this variable. And he'd be like, oh, okay, we're going to change this phase in the roasting. And so it was a really cool hands-on.
Yeah. Interesting translation.
Yeah. So Colin's been like a critical part of building out that roasting program that kind of came at a really, really cool time.
Yeah.
And so spent about like 9 months getting comfortable with it, getting it under our belts before we wanted to take it to the public, because roasting is a science, and like you can definitely roast in a day and do it, but to get it, I think, where we wanted and we're comfortable with it, it took a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Colin has been roasting for me under Subliminal, and then also for Common Time since we launched February this year. And then he's getting ready to move his business up to Iowa, and I'll be kind of transitioning into full-time roasting for us right now. So
sick.
Roasting's been kind of this year's next phase, and then we're currently in some lease negotiations for brick and mortar space that we can roast out of. So that's kind of
huge.
That's the next phase.
So is that brick and mortar just for roasting, or
it'll be roasting and like bar space? So yeah.
Can you talk about that or not?
Not yet, because things aren't totally locked in stone.
Feel that,
but
sure.
That
just makes us very excited.
That is the direction in the near future. That
very cool.
Heading,
that's super badass.
That's very, very exciting. Taking a little bit of a spinaroo through a different avenue of can you share some of your favorite coffees that you've ever had? Your favorite beans? And if there's, I think asking somebody like, what's your favorite shit ever? They're like, oh my God, like I have to answer this right. Like, no, you don't. You just have to pick something that you like. You can't be wrong.
Yeah.
What do you like to brew with? How much has that changed? The things that are just like your own personal walk with coffee. You mentioned Chemex. I fucking hate a Chemex personally, but
which like it's not my favorite brewer nowadays.
Sure.
But I have, again, like the nostalgic, like that's what I learned on, which is cool. Yeah, that's a hard one. So I think roaster wise, I have different favorite roasters for different things.
Cool.
And so I'm going to speak more to, I think like for people getting into specialty coffee, there are cups of coffee that you come back to and you remember. You're like, oh my God, this is the coffee that unlocked the fact that coffee can taste like blueberries.
Sure.
I had 2 of those experiences with a roaster called Brandywine. They're based out of Wilmington, Delaware. Upshot was carrying them when I first started going 10 years ago. And both of those experiences were Upshot back in the day, and we still have them on bar pretty frequently as a multi-roaster. And so the first one, I don't remember specifics on either, other than the first one was a Costa Rica, and the first pour over I had of it tasted just like tangerine juice. And then I went the next day to get it, and it tasted like a decent coffee. And I was like, damn, the tangerines are gone. But there was like this interaction of like, this is insane. Like I've heard people talk about coffee tasting this way. This unlocked it. And then they did a Colombia, I think it was a honey process during 2020 when I was back working at Upshot, before Upshot started roasting. And we had one of their coffees on bar, and it tasted like black cherry soda, basically. Like it was ridiculous.
That's crazy.
And this was both like before co-ferments were a big thing, and that stuff was kind of more imparted on the coffee. So shout out to Brandywine, I think, for 2 of like my most fundamental, memorable coffee experiences.
Yeah. Love that.
You brought me a coffee from Japan that tasted like juice last year.
Roastery Lab.
Yeah. That
so
one was nuts.
You said OG roastery.
It's a Kita OG.
Kita OG.
Roastery Lab in Kyoto.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Town.
It's like a very sterile lab space, big stone like just bar that you sit at, and they're all in lab coats and
beakers everywhere.
Yeah, and it's the loudest note of coffee I've ever smelt in one room.
Yeah,
and I was like crazy.
Yeah, so that was insane. I think Upshot, where I got my roots, has been really special because I got to be with them through being a multi-roaster. I got to be there when they went through a couple roasters early on, and Blake Shaper, who's still their roaster, started roasting as I was kind of making my exit. And so I got to have some of like his first coffees.
Oh, cool.
And now we're almost 6 years, into the future from that, and just seeing him grow as a roaster and get comfortable as a roaster and put out some really fucking good coffees has been, it's been neat, kind of growing my own business, and also seeing like them progress and get really good at what they do. So
it is a fun process to watch, like having a buddy that tattoos and you're like your first one, you're like, God, fuck.
Yeah.
What was that? And then like 10 years later, you're like, holy shit, look at this. So it's cool. The wizardry that they start to tap into.
Yeah.
What's your I mean, I'm sure it probably differs for a volume business, but what is your ritualistic way to brew? If you have all the time in the world and you just want a good cup of coffee, how are you doing it?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Honestly, I brew at the shop the way I brew at my house, which is like, it's not even like respect. Like it's actually the opposite of what you think. It's not this like formal process at my countertop of like doing it. I have my recipe. I have my go-to thing, but it's more so like the thing that came with early third wave coffee was like this level of pretension, and that like, I'm here to like teach you how to enjoy coffee. And it's like, no, it's like, I'm here to guide you in your experience to make sure you enjoy it fully. Like and there's a big difference in that framework. And also like working in it, right? The environment in which you work in kind of imparts its own way of how that gets communicated. And so there's like a balance of like, cool, how do I treat great coffee that again has passed through so many hands before it's even gotten to me with the respect and the time it deserves to be brewed well. But also, how do I interact with it in a way that isn't so rigid that like I'm miserable by the time I take the first sip, right? And so, my go-to brewer for a long time has been the V60 Switch. I hated them for a long time because I've been to so many shops that like leave it locked up for 5 minutes and walk away and forget about it and then do it. I'm like, oh, you just like French pressed my coffee through a paper filter. That's really upsetting. But I think, growing up on V60s too after the Chemex, and like there's a reason that's a core brewer that a lot of people start with. Taking literally a V60 and just having the option of having the option of locking it up and doing hybrid methods and stuff, I think is really neat. I know like the Pulsar and the Clever are very similar drippers. I haven't really even dipped my toes into those because I'm very much a person that's just like, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. I think the AeroPress gets shit on a lot. I love
for
the
no reason.
Yeah, it gets a lot of fucking strays.
It gets a lot of people. Number one, people have won world championships on that shit,
which is it's mind blowing because it gets so much hate. You think like, well, how? But
and it's a really versatile brewer. Have I had the best cups of my life on it? No. But when I get a coffee that stumps me on other brewers, I put it on an AeroPress and it makes it very drinkable. And I'm very stoked about that. Like,
that's
so
good to know.
Kalita Wave.
That's your go-to, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm V60. Yeah.
Oh, didn't you start on a Kalita Wave?
I did a crema class, and I was really struggling with making a good cup on just a straight up V60. And then I had seen the Wave and I was like, oh shit, this just seems so much more forgiving. That's the flat bottom. Yeah. Okay. So I messed with it a little bit, but then I was like, fuck, I need to like become V60 proficient. And so I learned how to, change my grind size, and that was that. But
Waves are a lot more forgiving, but they also just make a very different cup of coffee. Before we adopted the Switch at Subliminal, that's what we were using.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I think they're great. I think the origami is really cool because you can do a flat bottom filter or a V60. And like, I think that was very innovative on an old school brewer.
Yeah.
So
do you like brewing with the papers that you use for that almost exclusively? Or?
Yeah. So these are the actual origami branded flat bottom filters. So I'd use just the Kalita flat bottom filters, and I thought they were way too slow. But these, they actually go quite fast, which is nice. So, and to the point where on certain Kalita filter, like if I do like a certain Ethiopian, like or a geisha, for instance, it will sit there and it'll bind up for like 4 or 5 minutes, getting the last little bit of it. I'm like, come on. Yeah. Where these are a lot more predictable. They are a flat bottom filter, but they are as fast as a conical filter, which is nice. So I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like origami too. JJ, what would you say people are most surprised to learn about as they start to like get into coffee related stuff?
I think the realization that coffee doesn't always have to taste like coffee. Yeah, kind of like talking about the first cup that you drink and you're like, oh, this tastes like blueberry tea. This is really weird. Why does coffee not taste like the ashtray that I grew up drinking out of like my parents' pot or Keurig, right?
Yeah.
And so that's always that's a fun side of it. I think as you get deeper into coffee too, just like the amount of process and care that goes into coffee before it gets roasted is fascinating.
Yeah, I think most people don't know what it even looks like when it's not a roasted bean.
Yeah,
like how it got to that point.
People don't know it's a cherry. Like it's the pit of a cherry. The question we get asked most at the shop will list like the processes, right, under our pour overs. And so you have like washed and natural and honey and anaerobic and all these other processes. And it's just referring to like what happens to this bean that's inside of a cherry after it gets picked. And the fact that like we have so many different processes, like people don't understand that. People don't, but it's very similar to wine or whiskey or other industries. That you can get as geeky and snobby about it as you want to, or it can just be a black cup of coffee, or it can just be a vanilla latte, and like that's okay too. I think also just like the intricacies of it's a limited product that comes from many different regions in the world that handle it very differently. The laws around it is very different in different places. And so like there's a thing for a long time, Ethiopia's weren't allowed to use honey as a process label, even though some Ethiopians were honey processed.
Oh,
and so that's why you didn't see many honey process come out of Ethiopia. It was always like washed or natural. And there's been some legislation that's changed to kind of let some more of these processes come out. But something with how stuff gets shipped or exported and imported prevented that. We see like another thing with Ethiopia, you couldn't be a producer and an exporter. And so like all the exporters had to buy from producers, but you couldn't double dip basically. And that, creates a lot of like challenges for Ethiopian specific farmers. Tariffs last year made stuff real interesting.
Are those persisting still to the day?
I think we're out of it. They persist in the sense of like you have some shops that will buy forward on a coffee, or they'll buy, thousands of pounds of green to kind of last for a year. Your green coffee is good for like a year to a year and a half usually after harvest. People will debate me on that. That's a whole thing. But as long as it's like stored correctly and all that, you usually have about a solid year where it doesn't change. And so there are probably some roasters that might be working through some green that was purchased under tariff that, consumers still seeing the tariff price on that. But yeah, we haven't, there hasn't been any like new lots that have come in this year that anyone's had to pay tariffs on. So, and there's a couple importers that have reached out that they've gotten some of like the tariff refunds and are going to start distributing or crediting those.
That'd be nice.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but
yeah, fingers crossed.
But it's just like another interesting part of the world that like as a consumer you don't really like think about.
Yeah.
Or the fact that like when the Strait of Hormuz was closed, like a lot of coffee that ships out of Central Africa
not going anywhere now.
Isn't going anywhere. Right. And so you either have to like go to the other coast and ship that way, but that's going to increase costs. So yeah, coffee is very much like a universal product in the sense of like there's a bigger picture than what's going on in your city or state or country that impacts
most drank thing in the world. Yeah, coffee and tea, like hands down.
Yeah.
Damn. Before we get into some of the like physicality of what you have done, do currently, and plan to do, and all the rigors of that, can you sort of explain? I'll try to paint the picture as well as I can. I think people go through very unique personal relations with whatever thing they're either doing professionally, a hobby that they're pursuing, whatever, right? The way you're describing your relationship currently, both like business-wise and, as almost like a guide, as you put it, with coffee, where are you at in the roller coaster that is like, I don't know shit. I like Starbucks. Oh, I did a pour over, and going through these like ebb and flow of becoming what becomes snobby, right? And then learning like, oh, that sort of sucks. It sort of limits my process and enjoyment of this altogether. I just fucking ground 30 bags and all of the cups sucked, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how would you describe where you're at currently, and how much has that sort of process changed? Because I think I'm bringing that up because I think it's much less so about coffee and more so about like you can take this and apply it to anything.
Yeah.
Your fitness, your relationships, right, as you start to go through any type of serious endeavor, which you are very serious about, and it's working, but like I like where I hear like it sounds like you're at. It's very like, fuck, I want to just hang out and drink coffee with you all the time. Like it would be much more enjoyable because right now my phase is like, you fucked that up, like that cup sucks. Like you could have made that a lot better. So does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. There's like a meme of like a bell curve, right? And it's like novice, like I don't know anything.
Exactly.
That's I'm the
picture.
fucking expert.
Yes.
And then it's like the more you learn about it, you're like, I don't know anything again. And like I think we're over the hump of like, I'm an expert. I've got this mastered. Like I remember when I first was like quality assurance and my job was like dialing in stuff. I'd like sit and dial in every coffee like 8 times until it was like perfect and be like, I know I changed these variables to make it taste this way and like it's going to taste this good. And then like someone like opens the front door and the fucking temperature changes in the room and then it's like all off, right? And I think there's like so many like victories and defeats in that.
Yeah. Or it's someone not you brewing it.
Yeah. Or it's someone not me brewing it because like there's like whole side tangent, but my friends at another shop who had the resources to do it took like a refractometer, which is a way to like put coffee into and see how much extraction you get. And they had their lead barista from each shop do like 3 pour overs, and like the results between baristas was vastly different, but then the results against yourself was still like 5% variance, like in all these, and they're like, oh shit, like what are we doing?
Yeah.
And I think it's coming back to, we see it in culture with everything too, like the return to authenticity of there's going to be inconsistency in things. And that's what makes like the fleetingness of something makes it beautiful. The fact that there's variance between how like myself or Seth who's on my team or Maddie who's on my team or Matt who's on my team pours is like something that makes every interaction with one coffee different and special. And like shit, maybe it wasn't as good as yesterday and maybe tomorrow's is going to be fantastic, and like that's kind of part of it.
But
the thing is too is like coffee's constantly aging. Like you have a certain window to which it's like prime. That's going to change day to day. And yeah, humidity, barometric pressure, like I think I got out of the phase of like trying to control as many variables as possible, and realized like, oh shit, there is a point of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
And I'm not enjoying this anymore.
Yeah.
And if I'm not enjoying it, like
what's the point?
How do I expect other people to, or how do I expect to put on a front that other people are going to?
Sure.
And so, I think being on this side of the hump is like, there are so many things that I can't control. There are so many new things that I'm learning about coffee every day, especially being on the roasting side of things and importing green and stuff now too. It's a whole new world. Is like, I know that I don't know all the things about this. I have like a decent guideline to be like, cool, this coffee tastes over extracted or bitter.
Yeah.
Here are the things I can change to get it better in this window.
Yeah.
But the thing I even train my baristas on is like, when we dial, we're going to get a coffee 90% of the way there. I don't want it to be offensive. Like if there's like something in there that is bitter or sour in the mouth, like we're going to dial that out, and that's your 90%. If we want to chase like the rabbit trail of like, I saw cherry candy on the bag, I want to figure out where that is. I was like, sure, we can spend an hour trying to do that, and we're going to get it for today and it's going to be gone tomorrow. But like, let's get it to 90%, quit while we're ahead, quit while we enjoy it, and then still be able to like talk about, engage with the customer in a way that's like, yeah, this is a really special coffee and this is how it's going to most accurately be represented.
I think there's something that's not often talked about that is very important to illustrate in the bell curve kind of comparison. Is we talk about wanting to build community.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are in that bell curve in your own personal journey actually is more like alienating community, because you may start at an even playing field. Like, I love coffee. Person next to you doesn't know anything. I also love coffee. Now, as you go down the nerdy rabbit hole, your ability to relate to your community goes away, because you are more concerned about like, oh, I have all these things that no one actually cares about, can relate to, and you have more of a pedagogue type of a position where you're like, oh, here's all this stuff I know now, which you could now not be farther from relating to your community you're trying to build.
Right.
And then once you finally get over that, and it's the same thing with, any real pursuit, is you start knowing nothing, you overcomplicate the living shit out of it just for how human nature is. But then you master the simple stuff, and then you're able to communicate with the person who doesn't know anything more effectively, but you're still on the same playing field where like that community can grow. You have a newfound mastery, but you're also, or anyone in that pursuit is not coming off of like, here's all this stuff that you have no idea what it means. You can't place that in your tasting experience. You can't even come to incorporating that into your service experience either.
Right.
So I think there is something to be said that where the higher you are on the bell curve, you're realistically no longer relating to your audience if you're trying to actually build community and an experience.
Right.
So it's good that you're on the other side of I've only known you on the other side of the bell curve, which is awesome.
Yeah, but maybe externally, I'm sure, but internally, it's the turmoil I think has been worked through. Yeah, where you're describing like having been like, fuck this, I hate this shit
for sure.
So,
love it. Can you shed some light on how fucking hard it is physically? I mean, obviously the cart, right? Like that is a bitch. You said 180 times, right? To unload, unless you have a ramp and a wench, like,
Yeah, my chiropractor made a lot of money in 2024. Yeah, I mean, you have the physical toll, and let's not even like speak to cart specific events, just like being on your feet on concrete floor for 8 hours a day.
In the shop
and
now,
like,
right.
Like, as we know, like repetitive motion done enough times is like not good on your bodily systems. And so like people joke, like you get a thing called barista wrist, like you do tennis elbow and you have these like portafilters on your espresso machine that lock into place and you're like hitting them out so many times and it's pushing your wrist this way. Or like I'll get off a long weekend, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm not going to do anything with my right arm for the next 2 days until it feels better, right? You also just have like engaging with people in a customer service type experience, and like whether you treat it like hospitality or service, like 99% of customers are wonderful, and you do get 1% that emotionally will wreck your day.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
sure.
Like the social meter component of this.
Yeah. And so, you know, you have those strains as someone who works in the industry too, whether that be, you know, coffee specific or food and bev or like a sales position. It's just like the nature of dealing with humans who are dealing with their own shit. And so I think there's like a balance of both like a physical and an emotional toll, especially when you're in a spot that you're trying to take care of community. Like you almost feel responsible for how that community interacts.
Yeah.
And then you have just like the general, like being a business owner, tolls of shit too. But yeah, that's more of just a managing stress and like realizing like, yeah, I feel like I'm in the shit. I'm under the wave today. And like tomorrow it's going to be a little bit better. So we're just going to like
deal with it and push through.
I was talking to like one of my mentors on the phone. This was a couple months ago. But I've been a longtime fan of his coffee, and he's got quite a few shops up in Michigan now. And he's like, hey, can I call you in like an hour from when our meeting was scheduled? I got something came up. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. He's like, sorry, man. One of my cafes 2 hours away, like the hinge on the door quit working. And so I had to or on our fridge door quit working. So I had to go to our storage and get, this fridge door off of one of our junk fridges and go and replace it. And it's like, dude, you're like 50 years old. You've got a successful fucking coffee company and you're still driving 2 hours across the state to like
do that,
put the door on your fridge. And like the reality is like in small business, like you're as someone who owns something, you're constantly fixing shit.
Sure.
And that's okay. But it's just like, I think that was like a really humbling moment for me of like, oh man, you've cut your teeth in the industry for like 25 years and like you've built this successful thing. And it's like, nah, you're still doing the same shit I am, which is fixing things when they break.
It's distilled down to ground level if you're a business owner.
Yeah.
So we know you, I know you, we know you from the gym. Tell us whether or not you feel your fitness is a benefit to supporting the physical rigors of what you do. Yeah. Do you think you would have the same experience if you were not actively in the gym as consistent as you are? I mean, you have some arms on you, so we see you've been going.
No, I mean, I think gym has definitely made an impact, especially in the pop-up sense, because like the espresso machine is 90 pounds. The grinders are like 50 pounds. And so you're picking up and carrying those things. And so that's no small feat. I think something that having a gym routine teaches is like resilience and patience and like tenacity to do things over and over again and put your body through strain or stress. And so I think the ability to like manage stress as someone who owns a small business in the year of our Lord 2026 is like due large in part to I've had a gym routine for 13 years and like having the self accountability of like, I'm going to get up and do this thing even on the days that I don't want to.
Yeah.
That applies to the gym. That applies to showing up for my team at a coffee shop.
Sure.
That applies to showing up, within the hours that I say I'm going to be open for my customers who anticipate me being open in those hours. And so, I think both like physically and mentally, like there's a lot there. But
Would you recommend it to fellow barista or industry colleagues that may have yet experienced it or explored it themselves?
For sure. I think everyone should have some kind of like physical practice, whether it be gym, whether it be walking at the end of the day. But getting up and like moving in a capacity that isn't like I'm on the clock and expected to do this is I think a freedom that like our capitalist society has robbed a lot of us of in a way. Like, cause I know a lot of people who like go and work a very stressful job, which is like taxing and calorically taxing and in its own right.
Yeah.
but it's like when you get home and you're too exhausted to go and actually like
do anything,
move a body that like
Sure.
is functional, like that sucks. And so, yeah, I think maybe not necessarily like gym specific, but the act of what the gym is, which is like picking shit up and putting it down and celebrating the fact that like you can do that.
Sure.
Is really important. So,
yeah. Can you shed some light on how that fits in with some hypermobility stuff that you've shared as part of something that you are dealing with, battling against, navigating, the help from the gym, the complication that can exist with that, the complication that can coexist with work, right?
For sure.
And how you navigate that side of stuff.
Yeah. So I was diagnosed with hypermobility when I was like 13, which for those that don't know what it is, it's too much collagen in the joints. And so they become like too flexible. And so I figured that out when I was like on baseball teams in middle school and was having like so much pain in my knees when running and shoulders when throwing. Being like, I'm 12, like that shouldn't really be a thing.
Correct.
Why do I feel like I'm 50?
Why do I feel like I'm 50? And so for the viewers, like I can, touch all 5 fingers to my wrist. And that's the thing that they say, like you grow out of. So as your joints like stiffen, like I'll actually feel better as I get older, which has been the case so far, which is funny. But
the one bell curve you're looking forward to.
The one bell curve I'm looking forward to. But yeah, that knocked me out of like sports, which I had grown up loving, just because there wasn't a way for me to like run without pain or do things. Sure. And so I like tried swim team because that was low impact in high school. I fucking hated swimming, and that lasted a year. And so part of it was like looking for another physical outlet, and the gym is kind of where that piece came in. And then, I was fortunate enough to have older brothers who had been lifting for years and like figuring out plans of like, how do we lift intelligently in a way that, we can build up muscle around places that are less stable because of your joints. It's not a 1-for-1 replacement by any means, but like I have a lot more stability in my knees the more that I've like done specific leg exercises. I have a lot more stability in my shoulders, and so on and so forth. And so, I think that was like my early introduction to the gym, and then just kind of some of the benefits as I've been doing it for so long. It also like became my team sport in a way of like going with friends and having that community. Right.
Yeah. Totally.
And then, there's also like the hard parts of it too. Like I've dislocated my shoulder bench pressing many times. Like it's not a fun place to be. And that's why you have spotters, and there are days like where I show up fully intending to do leg day and I do like 3 squats and I'm like, yeah, the knees are not in a position to do that today. We're going to have to pivot and just do upper body and like
deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
wow.
But
a lot of tenacity across the board.
You cannot be stopped this one.
Man. That's right. Yeah. Dealing with the rigmarole as a youngster into the entrepreneur life. I mean, it is a lot of challenges, but what a more full life you get to experience and live, right? Like I feel like it's easy to glorify, I don't know. And especially with coffee, like romanticize, oh, I'd love to have my own shop. And you're like, dude, are you sure? Come hang out for a week. I'll show you what it actually is like, not whatever fucking version you have, which is just the dope parts of like, whoever comes in and they're like, oh, you're the best part of my day. And you make such perfect coffee. And you're like, wow, they've never said that ever until you did this trial week, like, that kind of thing. So it's easy to have the rose colored glasses, but I think yours have been shattered, fortunately, because you have a lot of wisdom yet again. So, anything that we haven't talked about that you want to share that you feel like is important, a message to anyone, the world, that thing that you've learned? You don't have to have anything. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions for a long time. So
I've been doing a lot of talking. So I want to know like what you guys are enjoying coffee wise right now. Like what's your go-to order or the thing that you're making at home?
Go for it.
All right. I mean, I am in Crema probably every day of the week because it's right down the street. And ever since I visited Nashville, I've always come to that shop with my sister. And, it's funny, built a lot of really cool relationships and friends, like with various people that have worked there and left. And it's really cool. I've always been a Cuban whore. Yep. Iced Cuban is just like my, I love it dearly.
A Havana hoe, if you will.
Yes, that's me. I fucking, the hips are swinging as I go in. And then actually you made a really cool batch of stuff that Daniel had got
experimental lot.
Yeah. Which I miss very much so. That was really cool.
I miss it too.
And then outside of that, actually the beans that I brought here are cool, but the other ones that
they're COE from Glitch in Japan, if you want to smell those.
Yeah. The other ones that a patient got me. Oh yeah.
Give ASMR. Clips.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. It's tasty.
Buttery.
The other batch that is not as fancy or expensive. It's I might like way more. So, what about you?
Well, and it's not just to shout JJ out, but I have Moon Rocks on espresso right now. Hell awesome blend. And again, it is not because he is a homie and he's right here right now. We've been very forthright in saying that if you just gave us the bag of the stuff that he roasts with no background, we'd be like, this fucking rules. So it's nice to have a homie on the home front actually crush what he's doing, which is sick. So Moon Rocks on espresso. The experimental was a lot D.
Development lot.
Yeah, development lot. Yeah. So that on both pour over and espresso was probably one of my favorite cups I've had in a while. And then I'm just kind of cleaning out stuff. This is a Panamanian natural from Arcane Estate.
I do want to try that.
Yeah, we can probably try at some point tonight if we want to dance with the devil with late caffeination. But yeah, that's been good. I'm just trying to clear a bunch of stuff. I'm the worst when it comes to like aviary.
The last cup.
Yeah.
Perpetually in 10 bags.
And I know I'm preaching to the choir. I mean, I've seen your place and it's just boxes and bags of coffee that just never get fully complete. But
so we work with like 50 roasters a year and I get samples before most orders and there's like 6 bags in a sample. And so there's just like, I have the opposite problem of most people, which is too much coffee to go through. And I've started like pawning it off on my team and then they're like, we have too much coffee now. So now it's a shared problem. But
yeah, that and forgive me, I do not recall the name, but what is your peach foam topped cold brew?
The Tommy's Party.
The Tommy's Party. That is also what I will go for. So
I
will go
awesome.
re-up beans for the house and get one of those. And Seth has hooked me up the last couple of times. It's been great.
Hell yeah. Yeah,
so
love it.
That's do you get to play music at all lately?
I've been like writing.
Okay, that's playing music.
The answer of every Nashvilleian.
Yeah, writing some stuff.
Just write.
Yeah. Solo stuff. You and Delaney stuff, both.
Just like solo stuff, playing around. Hadn't had an acoustic out in a long time, and now I haven't had an electric out in a long time. I'm just playing acoustic, which is a lot of fun.
Dope.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Nice. What's one quick thing that is exciting you in the world of coffee? Whether or not it's the immediate world in your orbit or at large.
Ooh. I think we've been seeing for the last couple years like a new wave of shops popping up that really care about what they do and really care about how they do it. It's an extension of third wave, but it feels a lot more intentional in my opinion as far as people building the coffee shops that they want to see in the world. So I think here locally seeing shops like Week pop up, like Matrishka pop up. I think I have friends in Michigan, Washed Up Coffee they've built something really cool. I don't know. There are a lot of there's a lot of change, I think, happening in the industry on the shop front that has been really encouraging to kind of witness. And
very cool.
Social media obviously makes that access very easy to kind of see people doing the thing. But yeah, a lot more, I think, positive than negative.
Very cool.
As of recent. So
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Do we hit him with a Siggy?
Yeah.
Let it rip. So on the Long and Thick podcast, we have a signature question. We ask everybody who we talk with.
I'm scared.
You have one idyllic day, no responsibilities, completely clear calendar, no one's blowing up your phone. Where are you in the world? It can be anywhere. And how are you taking your coffee?
I think I'm drinking a cortado somewhere in Oregon.
Can it be anywhere in Oregon, or you got a specific place in mind? Coastal, deep in the woods?
Probably deep in the woods.
Okay.
I think that's my answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's easy.
Fuck it. Love it.
What do we need to know? Where can people find you if they're in the Nashville area? Do you do retail online as well? What do we got?
Yeah. Subliminalcoffee.com is the easiest way to purchase online. Or 807 Unit B, backside of the building. You can't miss us.
Well, apparently you can.
Main Street in East Nashville is where our shop is. And that's the easiest way to buy beans or drinks in person.
Hell yeah.
And Subliminal Coffee Co. on Instagram. I don't do any of the other social media. I hate that I have to do Instagram, but that's where our updates usually are. So
I will say you do have, I'm just going to throw this out there. You do need, I think, now that you even have more people on bar, you need to ramp up Goobs on bar. So he does have a small short series on Instagram. That's a mic'd up little production of the goings on behind the barista counter. And it's very enjoyable.
It'll be back.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't you worry.
Well, JJ Johnson, J2, J3, however you want to call it.
A lot of J's.
Yeah, a lot of J's, but we cannot thank you enough for taking the time, hanging out with us. You're a big deal in our world, and we obviously are in the health, wellness, fitness lane, but as people, coffee is incredibly important to us. And you have been integral and instrumental, especially for me, in elevating that experience, that expectation. So we are very impressed by you. We are inspired by you and just thankful for your time.
Well, the feeling is mutual. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much, brother.
Until next time, on the long and the thick.
Bye.
Goodbye.
All right. There you go.
Yeah. Fuck 'em up.
Sick. Sick.
Fuck 'em up.